The pronouncement came that people should be evicted from Matongo. I was in senior one, that was 83. The order came and said 3 months given to you for people to be evicted, and that eviction had no reason. They started even chasing them from their land using a gun. People could, the soldiers could go whenever they would hear maybe like noises of people, they would go and begin shooting.
This country made its own citizens refugees just to pave way for animals. I know you may not understand this, but we are here in Bubukwanga sub-county to get the facts right. It is alleged that during the reign of President Obote, people were evicted from the now Semuliki National Park. They were not compensated wherever they went, without any money, without any food. But the community is taking steps to reclaiming this land. We are here to verify this information, and we are excited to bring to you the whole story.
Animals, insects, and birds, which one is so credible in comparison with human beings? I am Reverend Tibamwenda Smith. I am a district councillor representing Bubukwanga. But for today's matter, I am the General Secretary for Matongo Lost Land Recovery Families Organization. The organization that was started by the 5 different sub-clans, although we even reached to 7. That is the Banyamwera, which is one of the sub-clan here in Bundibugyo Uganda institution. We have the Bahanda, we have the Bahombi, we have part of the sub-clans of Bavandi, we have the Batogo, and we have the another 6 clan of the Babomboli, and also we have 2 sub-clans of the Banyangule. The issue of Matongo, the lost land, started far back when the community that lived in Matongo lost land was evicted on the speculation. But some people who were there, they said it was true. Some of our people, our grandparents, suffered from sleeping sickness, and a number of people died. And when they started dying, the report was going on in the government and different sectors of government. And in those years, people, the instruction came from the government. By then, we were still under colonial. They ordered people to be removed from that piece of land. And indeed, the people, because of the death they were seeing, they allowed people to be evicted. But the challenging situation of the then is that they evicted these people without considering anything about their welfare. They never resettled them. They never gave them some more what we call the basic needs, like food, either clothing or medical care. And they never bothered about the way they are living. Now, the fortunate ones could go to their in-laws. Some other people could go to their relatives. Some people could go to their friends. and others who failed to get part of the three avenues I've mentioned, they crossed to Congo, and also others crossed River Albert, uh, and they went to Bunyoro side.
Reverend, before you continue, you said the government just woke up one morning and said, you go, you leave this place. Didn't you try to ask questions? Like, where do you expect us to go? How are we going to survive? Or you just, just blindly went without asking questions?
Um, their question is that people asked because of the level of civilization.
Yeah, I get it.
During that time, it was rare even to see somebody who could write, who could read, who could even have some reasonings to ask you questions. But whenever they will see the government coming in and they come with all the authorities, people could just move and walk away.
Yeah.
But there was only one person who was courageous enough, and that man was called Kindongi. For him, he said, I will fight. And he fought and he was shot.
He
That
died.
man was Kindongi, and in the history of the Bahanda community, they still look at him or take him as one of the courageous Mohanda who lived by that time. And in the history of Bahanda, is always remembered. Now, many people learned from what happened on him, and they had quickly to leave. So, after that, um, people started agitating for being removed from their land where they had food, where some of them could even do hunting, some of them could do fishing, like the Banyamwera and the Bahombi. They were very good fishermongers. But these other clans, they were farmers, they were peasant farmers. And it reached the year 1953. In 1953, because of the continuous agitating, the government came in and they gazetted some two portions of land. Now, the two portions of land was from Sara to Humia.
Yeah.
That place where now we can find villages like Sara Kihombia, Sara Site, Bonamagwara. We can find the villages like Bundikitaganwa 1, Bundikitaganwa 2, then Bundikuria, and the part of the lower Humia. They gazetted it because of the people's agitation.
Yeah.
Then there is also another portion in Saira. In Saira there, the Butogo side. They also removed a small portion of land and people lived there. But because there were small portions, not all the people would occupy, would be given opportunity to have a piece of land. But when Amini took over government, a team of Bakonjo, Bamba, Babwisi, they ganged up to seek to meet the president, Amini. So Amini gave them a platform to meet him in the Kasese and Margaret Hotel. So in their conversation, they had like four to three reasons. One of the reasons was that they had suffered long in the hands of the Batoro. Now they wanted also to have an independent district to join Bwamba County and Usongora. That was one of the reasons, so that the Bamba Konjo would be free and they have leadership which they feel okay.
Yeah.
Then the second issue was that I mean, it could allow them also. Some of their children had gone to school. They could allow them also to begin having some of the administrative jobs that were there, like the parish chiefs, the sub-county chiefs, and also the secretaries by then. They used to call them clinical officer, clinical The clerical officers. The clerical officers, but by then we are secretaries to the sub-county chief. These 12 clerical officers who would work for clerical work.
Yeah.
And the third issue was a team of the Bamba and Babwisi who had gone in the delegation. They agitated for people to go back to their land where they evicted them, and that's the Matongo land. Now, when Amini went back to his state house and the team came back home, then over the radio, they heard that what came out from the issue that the Bamba Babwisi, Bakonjo presented to President Amini was a declaration. And they said the Bamba who were evicted from their land, they should go back to their land. That was in 1971. Then the district that they wanted for both Bamba and the Songora, they said he has given them 2 districts, 2 separate districts. And this one from Bundibugyo side was called Semuliki, and the other one from the other side of Kasese. By then, it had a different name, but currently it is Kasese. And he opened even an opportunity for people to begin even applying for jobs. And that's when we hear, like our old man who died, Mustera Mujungu, was a Saza chief. And some other people, like in the other side of Bubukwanga, this end, we had one of Munyamwera, who was a sub-county chief. People started getting those jobs, and they started enjoying themselves. But when the people in Matongo lived there for now more 12 years.
Were you born by then?
Me, I was born in 1968.
So it means when Amin declared that people should go back to their land,
I was already born.
You were already born, and you also went back.
We went back with our parents. Now, when the pronouncement came that people should be evicted from Matongo, I was in the senior one. That was 83. The order came and they said 3 months given to you for people to be evicted, and that eviction had no reason, because at least the other first eviction had a reason. They said there was sleeping sickness and people were dying, and obviously people in fear of death, they would quickly move and accepted to move out of the place. But this one for 1983, it did not state any reason why people were evicted. But some elders say that because of the disagreement that people had, the Toro kingdom had with the Bamba, Makonjo, and the Babwisi, and that in that government of Obote, too, he had made the Mutoro to be his vice president. So people started saying that should have been a smuggled ideology that was put in Obote. So to convince him now, evict these people.
So that means most likely the vice president by then, His Excellency Babiha,
yes,
he transferred his anger against the Bamba and the Bakonjo, and then he said, I'll have you evicted from your land.
True. Why people come out with those ideologies is that when people were evicted the first time, the Toro kingdom started coming with the business people, the Arabs. They would come with their guns, they enter, they evicted the land, the land where people were evicted. They would go with even people from here. They go with them, they penetrate the forest, they kill animals like elephants, they get the ivory, they go with it. People could remain there skinning the animals and the carry meat. They come. People could stay like 5 days when they are still there. But when they will come back, There was no person who would suffer from sleeping sickness. So people started saying now the disease that caused that to leave that land is no longer there. So that's how people continue be agitating to go back. Now coming back to where a second eviction came in. Now people were evicted from there. They had made good plans to their pieces of land. Their people had planted their oranges, tangerines. They had planted their gonja. They could plant seasonal rice, and the people could keep granaries of rice. People were fishing. There was no issue of lack of sauce to eat with your food that you have. Others were fishermen. Others were hunters. People were living a soft life and enjoying themselves very well. Now, when they were evicted, it affected a number of their children.
So even this time, nobody asked questions, just like the first time.
This time, because why people would not ask during that time questions, the government of Amini, it was a terrible government. It was you oppose the government, you are killed, you are shot. Now, the second government that came in to remove Amini's government was also military.
So now I get it, that the government that took you back to your land was Amin's government.
Was Amin's government.
So the government that took you away was Obote's government.
Obote's government. That's Obote too.
So when Obote came back for the second time, he began with the Matongo people.
Yeah, he began with the Matongo people in the western part of Uganda. He began with the Matongo people, causing their eviction. And when people were evicted, they had no argument by that time, because they started even chasing them from their land using a gun. The soldiers could go whenever they would hear maybe like noises of people, they would go and begin shooting. Now, and unfortunately during that time, I did not hear the report of somebody who died, but people could run. They could shoot guns and the people ran away, because there are people who had resisted not to come out from there, but because of the sound of the gun, which was not friendly to them, they ran away. And now when they ran away, people also went different directions. Those who had the relatives, they would go to their relatives. Those who had the in-laws, they would go to their in-laws. Those who had the friends, they would go to their friends. And at the same time, during that time, a number of people went to Winyoro, to Kibare, Kagadi side. They lived that side. That's why these days when you go to Kagadi and Kibare, you will find a number of Babwisi, Bamba, and Bakonjo. They are there. So if there are some Bamba and Babwisis whom you find in the Kibare and the Kagadi, if you interrogate them, a number of them came from Matongo. A number of people also crossed to Congo. And why I tell these things without even reading or looking for something that is written, I was by then around 14 to 15 years when I joined the senior one. So I understood a number of things that happened. I saw even how my parents struggled, even raising school fees for me. It was not easy.
Because of the eviction.
Because of the economic status was very, very, very bad off, was poor. Because there they had the base.
Yeah.
They would grow rice and they stock rice and they sell it. They had their gonjas. We had even grown a cash crop called coffee when we were schooling in Buhanda, and those people would come and school in Bubukwanga side. They would go with the seedlings for coffee. They started planting coffee. By the time they evicted us, our coffee that we grew had started flowering.
Yeah.
Now, giving us hope that in a shortest period of time, we'll begin harvesting it and now selling it. So we left all those, and the people were economically very poor. And that's why when you move in some town councils in Bundibugyo, like in Tandi Town Council, you move to Bundibugyo Town Council and in Nyauka Town Council, most vagabonds, people who are Wayai, called Wayai in those areas, are sons and daughters, and those Marias, a number of those harrods, they are sons and daughters of people who were evicted from Matongo. Because now, like in Matongo now, I mean in the Bundibugyo now, people who are well to do, there are people who had their plenty of land and they grew their cocoa. Now, somebody who is evicted from Matongo had no enough land here.
Yeah.
So he can't be among those who are growing cocoa and harvesting a lot of money from cocoa. Myself speaking, I had stopped from senior 4. But it's only by the help of the church that they touched on me, and they started now paying some of my school fees. I went to study A level, and then later the church also touched me, sponsored me to go and study theology, and I got a bachelor in theology, but not by the help of my parents. So all those initiatives were done by church. Now, a number of people whose families were evicted in Matongo, they could not study beyond primary.
Yeah.
So their studies stopped there. Now, it came a time. One time, the Banyamwera, in 2010, they started a movement. And they started writing, they met themselves as a clan, they organized themselves, they started making write-ups to the government. And they took their letters to the government in Kampala. And they are agitating to be taken back to their land. And that was during the chairpersonship of the district of Leti Bambalera. And when Bambalera was in Kampala, he heard about it, how these Banyameras are submitting the letters, and they asked about him. How many these people in terms of number? Obviously, by then, Mr. Bambalera didn't know the population of Banyamwera. And he said, but the way you look at them, how much money can the government give them, and then they get resettled? And he said he's coming to make an inquiry and get a lot of information related to Banyamwera, and then later he will respond to government. So when he came to intervene and to tell that to somebody who he was working with, by then Bakechura Cornelius, who is currently our committee chairperson. So he was working with him as a district councillor representing people with disability, and was a member of the executive. So when he narrated the story, Bakechura now wanted also to confide that story with the Banyamwera. Now, as Bambalera continued to talk to different communities about this, then they questioned the Bambalera not to allow take the information to Kampala before they consult other clans. And these are the clans now that I've mentioned: Bahanda, Bahombi, Babandi, Batogo, and Babomboli. By that time, it was only the Banyamwera. Now, so later, Bambalera knew that there are other clans.
So the Banyamwera had wanted to get resettled without considering
the other clans. So things now got silenced there, because even Bambalera could not take now the claim of only one clan. So in the consultations, then other clans came to know. Now by that time, things became a bit quiet. Now, during the time when Jore was chairman, after the removal of late Bambalera, that's when now the information started moving to different these clans, and the Bahanda, the Babomboli, the Bahombi, and the others came to know that they need to join efforts. And in 2017, when myself also had gone for a workshop, I was invited by KRC, and we joined the other organizations that had a joint workshop. I heard about this information of how people who live in Matongo should be compensated. And I heard that one clan called Banyamwera, they are pushing, but the government is about to consider them. So I came with the information back, and I went and reached Mzee Bakechura Cornelius. I knew Mzee Bakechura Cornelius for long because he worked with my father. He was a clerical officer at Rusaru sub-county, and my father also was an administrative police. By then, they used to call them local administrative police. So I went and met him and explained what I've had when we were in Fopotro, and he said, now, my son, we are going to team up. He tasked me to go and mobilize other sub-clans, and him will remain with some clans in the greater Busaru. Those are the Babombori and the Batogo. And he tasked me also to inform the Bahombi and the Bavandi this side. So one time we got a meeting, and we met towards the end of 2017, and now we formed a committee, and that committee started writing some documentations, and we came up with our articles and memorandum of our association, and we push now in 2018 to go and register with the URSB, and we registered. Now when we registered, we started now the moving together. The first move is to begin writing to the president and the prime minister. We wrote letters, but no response could be received until the time when we advised to go to court. We went to court in Fopotro. We registered our case. Now, when we registered our case, that was around 2019. We registered our case. We started now going to court. But as we were going to court, we began to see shortage of resources. So in terms of money to fund to pay the lawyers. And that's when another person told us, why don't you write a letter seeking for demonstration, so that you demonstrate in your home district, and everybody should know, the other DCs should know, the DCs should know, that that's the community of people who are evicted from Matongo. They are demonstrating for their right. They needed to be taken back to their land, which was now gazetted a national park. And the year in 1993, that's when the Semuliki National Park was gazetted a national park. Now, some of our elders, they usually tell us that the forest reserve usually to stop at Sahara, that valley of Sahara. That's where the forest reserve usually to stop. Now, when you cross over Sahara and you enter Bubukwanga, up to Lamia, the other side in Ibitogo, that was like a buffer zone. A buffer zone. It was like a free, no man's land. Even animals were rare that side. And because it was a buffer zone, by the time they seek for gazetting the land to be national park, they joined together, this former forest reserve and the other buffer zone. All of them became a national park. And that is the land that we are claiming from Sahara. We are not claiming the other part of the land. We are claiming from Sahara to Lamia to Butogo. That's the portion of land we are claiming. But some other people think we are claiming it all. But not for us, we are claiming where our grandfathers had lived. The other side, no, we didn't have penetration to the other side. And as we speak now, the population of the people who are heads of households, it is around 3,600 plus. That's so far according to our registration. We are 3,600 plus who are individual head of households.
So in other words, if you look at the the children and grandchildren under those family heads, you may even
we are around 30,000.
30,000.
Yes, we are around 30,000. If not around 28, but we are between 28 and 30,000. If you include the wives, the children, and even the grandchildren who are under every head of households. Now, when the issue of court failed, and we had taken our letter to the Inspector General of Police in the police headquarters,
seeking for permission to demonstrate.
The director of operations, police headquarters, asked us a question. There are two questions that he asked. He said, one, there are three. He said, how long have you agitated claiming for this land? We told him we have taken a number of years, because even our grandfather agitated, and up to the time when Amini had given back the land to the inhabitants, because these were indigenous people who lived in that land. Then he said, now, as per your group, how long are we? Said it is now taking like 6 to 7 years. Then he said, now, have you engaged your members of parliament? We said, no. Why don't you take this issue to the members of parliament? And he told us he's not going to sign, to endorse that we should be given the permission to demonstrate. But he said, first go and try this thing too with your members of parliament and even your chairman LOC5.
Yeah.
Now, by the time he gave us that guidance, the chairman LOC5 by then, he could not listen to us.
Yeah.
The Mr. Mutegeki could not listen to us about what we were pushing. But luckily enough, Honorable Gafavusa, when we are coming from there, we called on him and we met him in his office. We discussed with him. Then he told us to go and draft a petition, and we shared it with him so that he takes it to the Speaker of Parliament. He said, when you are petitioning, petition the Speaker of Parliament. So we came back to Bundibugyo and we made our petition and we shared it with the MP. He went through, and then later he compiled it as a petition and he went and engaged the Speaker of Parliament. And after engaging the Speaker of Parliament gave us a day to appear in the Parliament, in the gallery, as him as a member of Parliament presents our matter to the floor of Parliament. So we went to Parliament and they engaged the Speaker. The Speaker gave the floor to our member of Parliament when we were seated in the gallery. And during that time when we were in the Parliament, we were not alone in the government, because by then we had our member of Parliament, Honorable Kafavusa, presenting the motion, and the Honorable Ntavazi Harriet was together with us in the gallery, seated together with us.
Yeah, by then she had lost
the election, and the president had appointed him as a state minister of trade, but some write-up that came from different corners went there, and they could not, in the vetting, they could not give her a position.
So she was there with you.
She was living in Kampala. Yes,
she was with you in the gallery when the
gallery. We were seated together, and they went together even with the Honorable Kafavusa when they were going to meet the Speaker to put them in the order paper, to put the presenter on the order paper of Parliament. So later, after presenting our motion, the Speaker guided that our matter shouldn't be discussed on that day, but he allowed the motion that was presented to go to the Committee of Natural Resources, so that they go and do some fact-finding to Bundibugyo. We had now the Member of Parliament, Honorable Gafavusa, calling us that a team of Natural Resource Committee of Parliament is coming to meet us. They came to Bundibugyo. They met us at Akitengia Primary School shelter. So the RDC was there, the chairman LOC5, was invited, but by then he never came himself, but he sent his vice chairperson came, and the Disho was there. He came, and this committee that came after they heard about our report, they gave us an assurance. They told us they are going to handle the matter, but since the matter has been raised when the people are going into campaigns, because the president was going in the campaign, the members of parliament were going in the campaign, they said we should calm down and accept to go for election, because one of our issue was that we were not going to participate in elections.
Yeah.
But they calmed us down. They said let's go for elections. That was the elections of 2021. They said immediately the president goes into his office and then member of parliament goes back at the office, they will begin from there. Now, elections was over, but we had a lot of silence. We could not hear something progressively going on. They told us that when they went back to Kampala, they started calling different stakeholders. And one of the stakeholders that we mentioned in our presentation was UWA, that occupies now the land which we claim. Now they invited the executive director of UWA, and when he went to meet the committee, he told them, hey, that case is in court. We are they contested and we are handling it in court. Now how can we, the court is still going on with the case and also parliament here? Then they saw that no, the government doesn't work like that.
Since the matter is still
in court, so they should leave it with the court until the court concludes. That's when another arm of government will also handle it. So then the MP was somehow shocked. Our MP, he didn't know that the matter was already in court.
You also hadn't told him that you had been in court.
So later, he called us. He said, please, the matter that was now in the parliament, it has been halted until the court concludes. But he went and consulted another lawyer whom he sponsored to come and meet us in the Bundibugyo. And that lawyer came and guided us that please, you can now apply for your case to be withdrawn from court. Because court cases can take long. You can take even more than 10 years when you are still going up with that case. So when he advised that like that, then we asked him also to help us. That same lawyer was also coming from Kampala, a Mugishu in a tribe. So he said, I can help you with our farm. And the lawyer gave us advice. Even made an application for withdrawal of the case from court. So a time came, we went to court, we asked for withdrawal of our case, and the case was withdrawn without charge, without costs. Later, then he advised us, since you have an MP on NRM ticket, you have even the leaders at the district who are not in the opposition. You can now begin afresh to the president, and we task two ministers, the Minister of Lands and the Minister of Tourism. And then we write to the Prime Minister to task these two ministers to handle the matter. And that's what we did. He wrote for us, he drafted for us a letter, and the letter was submitted to the Prime Minister first. Then the Prime Minister, it was copied to the President, the Prime Minister, to see into this matter. Now, when the Prime Minister received the matter, that's the Right Honorable Kadag, I mean the current Prime Minister, Nabanja. He caused the meeting where he invited 5 different ministers. He caused the meeting where he invited us, the Matongo community representatives, the Bennett people from Eastern Uganda, and the MPs, And also for us in Matongo, he called all our MPs. Even he called the chairperson of LC5. Our chairman of LC5 here, Tibamwenda was also invited. He called also the representative of the Batua in Kisoro and Rukungiri. And he called the members of parliament there. The meeting was in Kampala in the Prime Minister's boardroom. We went there, he called these following ministers. He called the Minister of Finance, he called the Minister of Tourism, he called the Minister of Gender, because the issue is at the level of gender.
Yeah, it's a community issue.
It's a community issue. He called the Attorney General. I've forgotten one ministry he called. Now, we went and met. We discussed, we presented our issues, and they formed the committee of the committees. When they have contentious issues, they can form small committees.
Ad hoc committee.
An ad hoc committee of the ministers,
yeah.
And they co-opted the members of parliament, and the Minister of Gender chaired that ad hoc committee, and they said they are going to study all the presentations that came from these 3 different communities, and then they come out with the recommendations. Which recommendations they are going to present to the cabinet before the president. So we left Kampala, we came back. Lived here as we wait, as we make the follow-up. Now the first thing that came from that recommendation is when Honorable Gafavsa communicated to us that a team is coming from Ministry of Lands for fact-finding. And the team sent 3 people, but 2 experts with their driver to come and find us. And the team that came from Ministry of Lands took us in every point. When we mentioned that our land we claim starts from Sala, we would go with them to Sala. And they say, this is the point where we start from. Then we mentioned like Humia, that there is now a part of land which one time, because of agitation of these people, they gave them a piece of land from Humia to Sala. We said, when we reach Humia, take us there. And we see. We went to where Tokwe and Humia meets.
Yeah.
We reached there. Then from there, they say, we are going to take us also to Saila, which is in Butogo. We drove with them, and during that time, we were moving with the chairman LC5, Mr. Tibamwenda. We are moving with RDC. We were moving with the DISO, and also the few members of the board of Matongo Lost Land. We moved together. 4 vehicles would move point to point, and we reached the Butogo. We even branched after Butogo. We drove to go to Kahimbi side, and they gathered the information, different information. They had the photos and whatever. We even enter the bush, and we pass via the cocoa when we want to reach Rivaramia, that we want to see Rivaramia, where the land usually to stop. And we explained to them that this side of the upper side, the boundary was Ramia. But when you go down, the boundary was River Semuliki. So later on, we came back. We sat at our office at Matongo at Akitengia. They asked also some elders who did not move with us. They gave some backgrounds. Then later they told us we're now moving, going back to Kampala. And they went to Kampala. Now we kept now pushing for, when is the fact finding out? When is the fact finding out? Now, Honorable Gafavsa pushed them. And what resulted was that the minister tasked 2 institutions to produce evidence. You said in your report that the first eviction was because of Sesefly. We are going to task the Minister of Agriculture to check in the archives whether Sesefly affected the people in the Bundibugyo by then.
In that year.
In that year. They went in archives, they got the results. As you speak now, we have those letters. And the MP also has those letters. Later on, they said, we want also to task you, boss. These people, they say they lived in that part of the land. And by that time, they had some villages which were under Bundibugyo Parish and Bubukwanga Parish. Can we see the population by then, whether these parishes were mentioned? So, and even the villages. So, they checked in the archives of Yubos. They found, yes, during that year, in the 80s, the census that it took place, it even involved the people who are living in Matongo. So that became also the second evidence
that actually people used to stay there.
And that means later they evicted them, because these days they are no longer people, but they are animals and the trees. So the information came, and then we asked the MP, are we going to be put in the budget of this 2025-2026? He said, what already the people in the Ministry of Lands have told me. They say that there is every year they put money. There's a money they call the land fund. The money that the people who are affected in some pieces of land, they normally give that fund to the department. They keep it. So if they assess people and they validate them, and they find that there are people who have really been removed from where they were living, they can give them that money, and they go and maybe buy land, and they can even identify a piece of land which is closer. They started asking him questions. In Bundibugyo, do we have a piece of land that we can find intact, which has around 200 or 300 acres? Honorable Governor said, no, we don't have that kind of land in Bundibugyo. He said, but now what of the neighboring districts? Can we find a piece of land which has a lot of acreages, and we see where these people can be taken? He said, no. When you go to Fopoto, you can't easily see such a land, unless it's also another gazetted land. When you go to Toroko, there is no such a land, unless also you encroach another gazetted land. So later, they promised that according to the prayers we submitted, because as Matongo community, we submitted 3 different prayers. Prayer number 1 was that for us, we need to be taken back to our land where we were evicted. And that's what we are seeking the government. Then the prayer number 2 is that if that one can't be possible, then they should look for land. I mean for money which they can give these heads of households, so that they see where they can look for land within Uganda. But the third prayer is that like the other time war happened to the people of northern Uganda, and the government sat, their leaders seeked for a special program which would benefit this community, especially the younger ones, the women. The younger ones were planned to have some trainings which they could acquire, and help them also to support themselves. Like this is skill training. Some people could be trained in the carpentry, bricklaying, others in tailoring, others in those courses that could make people to sustain themselves. Also, there are some programs where they involve women in the different groups. They do different things, and they are supported. There can also be a certain fund also that can be given to children of those people who are evicted from Matongo, at least who are still schooling. They give them financial support to continue with the studies until they reach where they can help themselves and acquire a better education that can give them future employment. So those were majorly the prayers that we had put in our document. And as we speak now, we are still waiting for what will come out of the government pronouncement of our matter. And as I speak, yesterday but one, we had submitted a follow-up letter to remind the Minister of Lands and also the Minister of Tourism, to remind the Minister of Land and the government how far our matter has reached. And yesterday, but one, Honorable Gafawusa submitted them to the Minister, and we have received all the letters of receiving them with the stamps of the ministry. So a follow-up has gone, and now we are waiting for what will come out of it.
So you've just said you had 3 prayers.
Yes.
One of the prayers was to be taken back to your land. The second prayer was that you be given money to resettle yourselves.
Yes.
Then the third prayer, of course, is rehabilitating the community, the children and the families. Which of the 3 prayers do you think is very likely? Because I want to assume,
yes,
I want to preempt that it may be hard for you to go back to that area. After all, it's already gazetted and animals are already living there. Yes. If you are not taken back, would you feel disappointed?
Yeah, from the statements that the president normally utter, it's like he doesn't quickly allow a gazetted place to be degazetted. It's not something that is quick.
Yeah.
To a number of statements that he utter when he's touring this country. But it's also a challenge that we present before the government. We hear protections, we hear promotion of human rights. We hear now it is a challenging situation where we want to see the government, animals, insects, and birds. Which one is so credible in comparison with human beings? Now it is under the honors of the president to say, I have nothing to do with you, or I can't take you back, but let the animals continue there, insects continue there to grow there and enjoy the environment, and also the plants continue there. So it is now a testing moment.
Yeah.
Before the president and the government, and also to revise some of the human rights laws that is put in place. For me, as one person who came from Matongo, who has suffered long, who has experienced the tortures and how the human the rights have been violated for many years, and it has even affected the children that we have produced. It is the president now to see if he cannot allow us to go back to our ancestral land. It is him now who can say, I can give you money. If you suffered, let not also your children and your grandchildren suffer living in this country when you don't have land where you base. Because now I am a parent, and as I speak now, I have 2 grandchildren, and those grandchildren are also going to grow and produce. Where will they be living?
Honorable, this is a very heartbreaking story. For me, I used to hear this story, but I wasn't hearing about the way you've narrated it. For me, I just knew it was just a very small number of people that were evicted, and it's just being over exaggerated. But telling me that it's over 3,000
yes.
Heads of households. So basically, we are looking at over 30,000 people.
Yes.
That's like a less populated district. That is
there are some districts
that is a county.
True.
A whole county. It's
when you look at the voters in Bugandera, they don't go beyond 40.
Imagine. So we are looking at a very big population that's suffering out
there. When you go to Ntoroko, the entire district, even the population may be beating in Ntoroko.
Yeah, because in the last election for chairperson LOC5, the total vote count wasn't even beyond 40.
Beyond the 40, it wasn't.
So that's a very big population, and I want to believe that the government is watching. President Museveni is a listening man. So I have to believe that if he has already received the information and is being interacted with, I understand that he's somebody who will have to act upon this. So what are your last words, Honorable Smith?
My last word is appreciating you for hearing about these stories, how people want to meander them. They don't want to speak the truth, but you manage it by your at your own cost to look for me and to come and do this coverage, and to thank you that you keep doing the same when you hear some other communities that are being tortured, that are vulnerable and whatever. Secondly, is that the people of Matongo, they are purely NRM supporters. When the President Museveni was fighting to take over this country as a head of state, one of the places where he hid himself and he got support was Bundibugyo.
Yeah.
So when he hears something coming from Bundibugyo, this would be the right time now. We'll be giving it an opening ear and see how we can help. These people who are Matongo, pure Matongo claimants, they are pure NRM. But the statements that we are hearing from them, and now some of them even never participated in the
primaries.
And a number of us, all of us, you may say we should not participate in the general elections. And it will be very bad.
Yeah.
And the people have taken long suffering, and they ask a number of questions. Are we lesser than the animals in recognition by the leaders of this country? Are we lesser than the plants and the insects that are given all those chunks of land, and they don't want to listen to us? So I know our president listens and is a leader who has been shown all over Africa that is a good leader. If we hear tomorrow a pronouncement and we hear how his intervention with the Minister of Tourism and the Minister of Lands, and we hear that the people, I am going to settle them, or I am going to give them a package so that they can look for where they can buy land and settle, it will be a good news to the people of Matongo community. The good thing is that we have leaders who are behind us.
Yeah.
The member of parliament is behind us. The chairman LOC5 is behind us. And also the member of parliament for Bugendera is behind us. And I can't also hesitate to say that even the Honorable Josephine, because one time when the Prime Minister invited us, we found him there waiting for us. We found her waiting for us.
Thank you so much, Reverend, for accepting to speak to us out of your busy schedule, given us time. You're a busy man, and I expect you to be doing so many other things, but we appreciate that you've accepted to narrate this story. And I want to imagine that whoever is watching at this time, you've picked sense out of this, because just like me, there are other people outside there who have been hearing this story in a different version.
Sure.
Now that we have an actual version from somebody who has been there, somebody who understands the situation, was there when the eviction was made and is still here. So we appreciate for this information, and we hope that it can reach to the people who are supposed to receive it.
To be so good.
Thank you so much, viewers of Bamba TV, for being part of this amazing audience, and we thank you for following us, and we thank you for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do, because that's how you can help us grow. Thank you. See you in the next one.